today using Azure Data Factory, we're going to take data out of Salesforce.com and we're going to push all of that data directly into Snowflake. And we're going to do so in 5 minutes using only a handful of prompts using a data pipeline template that we've created. So you go to Pipeline and import Pipeline from Template. And what we've done is we've posted this template out to GitHub, specifically designed to work with ADF, Salesforce, and Snowflake. So you can go ahead and download this template, as you can see here. And this zip file downloads to your desktop. We'll go back to ADF. We will select Pipeline and then import from Pipeline template. And so once you do that, it's going to prompt you for 3 items or 3 linked services. The first is going to be our blob storage, then our Snowflake instance, and then our Salesforce.com instance, all 3 of which are covered in our documentation, how to set those up. So when we click Use this template, what it's going to do is import our data pipelines. In this case, we have 4 pre-configured metadata-driven pipelines, and we have only 2 data sets. Everything else is going to be driven just from a handful of prompts. Now, before we do that, let's clean up our desktop a little bit, just to make this a little nicer and cleaner to look at. And let's explore our prompts. So the first thing we want as a parameter is our Salesforce objects. I'm going to add a few more objects: account, opportunity, maybe even campaign. And you could add as many Salesforce objects as you like, even custom ones. You'll use the API name. The next thing we want to fill in is our schema in Snowflake. Now, you could use an existing schema, but in this case, we're creating a brand new one called SFDC Data Lake. The third thing you need is your database name. Now, you have to previously have created the database, in this case, the development ops, and there are some role permissions that need to be predefined that we cover in our documentation. So I'm going to go ahead and paste the name of my database. And then in this case, we have additional parameters, including to use or not use the environment configuration, the schema creation. So once again, if you wanted to use an existing schema, you would set this to no. But in our case, we're creating a brand new schema. And then we'll continue to add more prompts as we go and as we get feedback about this template. So with that, we are done. So we're going to actually publish. Now, normally we wouldn't publish, we would just save if we were using GitHub, which we recommend. But in this case, we're going to publish. I'm going to hit debug. I can review my parameters. I click OK, and the rest of the effort is really just waiting. At this point, it's going to start running each one of these pipelines in sequence. The first one that it's running is our environment configuration. And we can actually step into this pipeline by clicking Output and then clicking the link. And ADF will actually step into this data pipeline that's running. So really what this environment configuration is, it's creating our schema, it's grabbing the metadata, and then it's also creating a couple of additional tables and installing a couple of stored procedures, which are pivotal to the metadata-driven data lake. The next thing that it's doing is it's generating the Salesforce.com tables, including our metadata table. And this is particularly important because all of the metadata is coming directly out of Salesforce.com. So we have this SFDC data lake, and inside of this schema, we have the metadata table. So that process is now complete. Now, all of the metadata that we need to actually build our tables for each one of our objects and pull the data from Salesforce into Snowflake is complete. So this last job called Load SFDC Data is simply pulling all the data into Snowflake. Now, if we go back to Snowflake and we refresh, you're going to see all of the objects that we defined in our parameters exist. And if we go to Preview Data, now all of the data from Salesforce.com is ready to be used inside of our Snowflake instance. All of this powered with just a few parameters and completely configurable and customizable to your specific needs. We provided all the links below to get into the GitHub, to download the template, to detailed documentation, where to submit any ideas or issues that you run into. We definitely want to hear back from you so we can keep enhancing this. And then certainly we have a deep dive 30-minute detail that starts from scratch should you need help setting up all the link services out to Salesforce and Snowflake and Blob Storage. So all we ask is that if you find this useful, let us know and share with others. Thank you so much.